Friends, every one of us need oversight. We need some regulatory supervision over our life. Why? Because we live in a wild, corrupt world where we can get out of pocket anytime. Men, we need oversight because absolute power corrupts absolutely, and absolute authority will corrupt absolutely. And men, we need oversight for direction and for protection. Even Jesus, the Son of God, had oversight. He was answerable to someone. That's called being accountable to someone. In Mark chapter 6, a case study. Jesus preaches all day long to a group of people. He preaches late into the evening, and then all of a sudden he tells his disciples in Mark chapter 6, send them away. He said, so that they can get something to eat. And they said, Lord, if you send them away after preaching this long sermons, and preachers do that sometime. Who said amen? He said, send them away. They said, Lord, if you send them away after this, they're going to faint by the way. So because Jesus had oversight and direction and regulatory supervision, he said, well, set them down and see what you assess. When they come back, their assessment is this: 300 pennies worth of bread would not feed this great multitude. Their assessment is, if we took a year's wages, we couldn't buy enough bread in this area to feed all of these people. Jesus said, then what do you have? In verse number 41 of chapter 6 of Mark, he says, and when they had taken up 5 loaves and 2 fishes, look what he does. And I put it for emphasis in your notes. It says, and he looked up. Why did he look up? Because Jesus knew he had oversight. And if he knew that 5 loaves and 2 fish was not enough to meet this big need, he said, I got to look to someone who can. You and I need oversight in our lives. And friend, that oversight will cause us to look up. Then he blessed it, then he broke it, then he gave it to them and set it before them. And the 2 fishes he divided among them, and a great miracle was done. They were all fed. You see, men, each one of us need oversight because we need to have it in our DNA that when your hearts are overwhelmed, when you're confused, when you don't know what to do, you can lift up your eyes to the hills, Psalm 121, from which comes our help. Our help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. See, when you and I don't know what to do, we need to know that we have regulatory supervision over our life. My question to our men this morning is, who is the oversight in your life? Who are you answerable to? I've had 3 oversights in my life, maintained once. And the 2 that I've had in my life before, the one that's currently in my life, has now passed on. But I had Reverend Phil D. Hale in my life. And my wife knew where he lived. She knew the number at the church. And when I started preaching, he looked at my wife and said, listen. He said, if Lafayette ever gets out of pocket, if he ever starts straying along the way, you call me. He called me the middleman. He said, he stands between me and you. If he ever gets in problems, you call me. Even when I preached and they took up a love offering, he would just give it to my wife. He just said, I'm cutting out the middleman. He wanted to, somebody likes that tradition in here. He wanted to let her know that he had regulation. So I wanted to live in such a way she would never have to make that call. When I started Raymond Christian Center, a couple years after we started our church, Dr. Edwin Lewis Cole came into my life. And we're going to commission men this morning after the style of the Christian Men's Network that was formed at that particular time. And one day we were sitting at a table and Teresa was there. He and his wife were there. And he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a yellow card and he gave it to Teresa. He said, Teresa, here's my cell phone number. Here's my office number. Here's my private office number inside the office. Here's my home number. Here's Nancy, my wife's number. Here's her cell phone number. And he said, if Lafayette never ever gets out of character and does not maintain integrity, call me. She took that little yellow card, put it in her wallet, and I wanted to live in such a way that she never had to make that call because I had oversight in my life.